Thanks, Bart. I appreciate you doing this. Yeah.
Well, obviously, it won't go as smooth as Cody does it, but welcome to the induction ceremony for the 2023 Doane University Athletic Hall of Fame. The process will go as follows, so pay attention. I'm not going to tell you only have 5 minutes, but you only have 5 minutes. And good luck, Cody. But here's how we'll do it. I'll introduce a presenter. The presenter will come up and say a few comments about the person being inducted. Then the inductee will come up after that introduction. I'll hand you a plaque. We'll take a quick picture, and then the inductee will have an opportunity to say a few words. That sound like a good idea? All right, let's get started. It's really interesting to start this event by talking about Preston Meintz, because one of the things I remember most about our first connection is I met him as they were being recruited, but I remember getting a call about 4 p.m. and an event starting at 7 o'clock. Phil Jackson was coming to speak at Doane, and Preston Meintz, being who he is, calls me and says, "Brandon, I really want to come. Can you get us tickets?" And found a way to get him in. But these two guys came up here together, and there were a lot of kids, I think, that came from your school over the next 3 or 4 years after you guys came. And it's my pleasure to introduce Preston Meintz, who will introduce his friend Brendan Weiss. Preston?
Wow. We all have a lot of God-given talents. This is where Cody needs to be, not me. So bear with me, I'm going to have to read a lot of this. My name is Preston Meintz. I've had the pleasure of knowing Brandon Weiss since kindergarten. We started playing basketball back 3rd, 4th grade. Junior high and high school together, both decided to come here, play ball at Doane. Actually lived together our freshman year in Smith Hall. And you learn a lot about yourself moving away, but living in Smith Hall, you learn a lot about somebody else. The sights, the sounds, and certainly the smells some of those mornings. Graduated from Doane together. After college, Brandon continued his education in St. Louis at Washington University, getting his aerospace engineering degree, and Alice and I spent a few years in Los Angeles. A few years later, we both ended up in Phoenix playing basketball again, and I know Cody was out there, actually watched us play against Terrell Suggs, which was kind of cool. Brandon just continued to dominate as he grew, and out in Phoenix played against some amazing talent. Brandon stood with me when I married Allison, and I was honored to stand next to him when he married Caitlin. He's one of my daughter Paxton's baptismal sponsors, and we're honored to be a sponsor for Logan. Plenty of other memories sprinkled in there, but I'm extremely honored to be up here this evening. As I mentioned, we started playing basketball back in 3rd, 4th grade. We were fortunate to have a very competitive class. We went to Lincoln, played in YMCA Spirit Leagues, traveled to MIT tournaments and several others. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, Brandon worked his tail off. He showed up at every practice, never complained he wasn't a starter. Junior high, same story. Brandon was at every practice, worked his tail off, wasn't a starter. Freshman, sophomore in high school, same story. Worked his tail off, wasn't a starter. Something happened between our sophomore and junior year. So he got into the fertilizer on the farm or something. But Brandon put on 20 pounds of muscle and just became a dominant star. Now, when most kids have their growth spurt, they grow an extra elbow or an extra knee. They're very uncoordinated. Brandon was dominant. So he came back as a junior and was a dominant star. Our senior year, Adams Hornets and the Philly Wildcats actually consolidated, and we became the Freeman Falcons. Brandon continued to dominate. He, 24 years later, still holds several individual season records, including most field goals made, field goal percentage of over 58%, total points in a single season of 406, offensive rebounds 100, defensive rebounds 166, total rebounds, of course, block shots of 106. And 4 of the 12 individual game records Brandon also owns, including 10 block shots in a game. So when he came to Doane, it was just natural for him to continue to grow and dominate. Brandon came here, as you can see in his bio, and had 4 years earning 4-time first team all-conference honors, 2-time NAIA All-American honors. He ranks 4th all-time in scoring with 2,038 points and 4th in rebounds with 1,036, and has a school record with 157 blocks. Now, Brandon's success, a lot like everybody else here tonight, comes with a lot of God-given talent. It's impossible to do some of that without having some talent on your side. But it also comes with a lot of hard work and dedication. We all have some of that God-given talent, but some of us are fortunate enough to recognize it and push ourselves to the next level. One of my favorite quotes is that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Brandon is the epitome of this. Brandon Weiss always worked hard, and when his God-given talent had that little bit extra boost, his work ethic and commitment pushed him to that next level. It was an honor to play with him. Sorry. Brandon's hard work, commitment, dedication, passion, leadership, mental and physical God-given talent are the reason he's here tonight. That is why he excels at everything he does. Please help me welcome Brandon Weiss.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Whew, that's a tough act to follow. Thanks, Preston. Appreciate it. You're a great friend. Like you said, we've had a lot of fun years together. Like you said, start off at kindergarten, high school, room together here, spends time together in Arizona. It might be odd, he's listening to the program as classmate, but he's a guy I've always looked up to, I've always admired. I just couldn't imagine a better friend, a better person to, admire and kind of follow, and thanks for all your leadership and keeping me on the right path, and just, we have had so much fun, and we still do to this day. We find ways to continue with our wives and kids, and it's great. So, Cody and the staff, thank you very much for putting on the night. It's a real honor to be here. It's great to be back at Doane. Always love the campus, love my time here. Like we said, Roger, it's just, we do love Doane. It's the people, it's the background and the history here that brought me here. I remember Preston and I, we had some friends, some alumni we knew here that encouraged us, and when we came here, we had fun, and we knew some folks on the athletic teams, and so that was all great, and they're good recruiting tools as well. And when Cody sent me the write-up on tonight, I kind of read through it, and when I got to the end, I thought, wow, I'm really relieved that he left out, some of the statistics, or Rick, some of the statistics like turnovers and fouls and foul outs, because I had some records there too. So I appreciate that. But no, it was a ton of fun. We had a lot of good times. One of them that always comes to mind is when we went to Hawaii freshman year over Thanksgiving break. We had a big group that went on that trip and played for a couple days, and then we had a couple days off to run around the island, and the whole team decided it'd be a good idea to rent mopeds. So here we were, 14 of us showing up at this moped shop, and the guy probably thought we were crazy, a bunch of 6'4" to 6'10" guys trying to get on a moped and steer that thing between our knees, but we managed, and at the end of the day, I think Preston kind of wiped out, thought it'd be a good idea to take him on the sand, and so that didn't work out so well, but we got him back in one piece, and it was a good time, and we had a lot of other trips, a lot of good van rides with coaches and assistant coaches that put up with us in those vans, and just a lot of good memories. You remember the wins and losses, but you also you mostly remember the good times and the friends and the teammates and the coaches. Fred, it's great to have you here. Ian was a great coach. Ian coached us our senior year, and before that, Coach Jacobson and multiple assistants kind of helped recruit us here and push us to be the best we could be through the years. And that's one thing besides the good times. It's all the hard work we put in. And it's not just hard work by us and myself. It was hard work by family, Mom and Dad and Don. Thanks for always pushing me and teaching me hard work ethic at home. And growing up on the farm will do that. So that was good, and it was great. My sister went to Wesleyan, unfortunately, but she still came to Doane, and every Doane game she went to, she was wearing Doane gear and cheering as loud as she could. So I appreciate that. And again, the coaches, the teammates that push us, the teachers, just everybody. The trainers, Brad, good to see you. You're over here somewhere, but face I hadn't seen in quite a while, so everybody plays a part. And I guess with that, just all the people that surrounded my life, my wife Caitlin and I, we want the same for our kids and nieces and nephews. Just it's great to have a good network of people around you, and that's just so important. And I had that with friends and family, and it means a lot. My kids are starting to get into it now, and of course my boys think the only shot on the court now is a step back 3-pointer with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, thanks to Steph Curry and the new age. But we're going to try to get them back on the block, or maybe they'll take after their mom, who's still got the family record for most points in a game. So they might shoot threes like she did, but it's fun to watch them grow, and it's really great to be back. I think I hit all my topics. Thanks again, Cody. Again, great friend, and you are the face of Doane here since I got here recruiting, and you've held a lot of positions. And I ran into Cody at a farm sale a couple years ago, and right away remembers me and my dad, and it's amazing how he can know. I mean, how many thousands of people do you think? So it's amazing, and again, Doane's great now. It continues to push forward in a lot of new buildings, and it's great to see that advancement continue, and anxious to be back and bring the kids to games and enjoy that. So thanks again. Go Doane.
Former volleyball coach Cindy Meyer, who strung together 20-win seasons like no one we've seen at Doane before in volleyball, and a 2014 Doane Hall of Fame inductee, learned that Rachel was put into the Hall of Fame, and she was terribly excited. And it only makes sense that her coach introduces her great setter. Cindy?
I was worried this might be a little bit too high after going behind basketball players, but it's okay. So first of all, I want to thank Cody and the committee for all their time and effort. Why we coach is moments like this, where I get to introduce Rachel for getting inducted into the Doane Hall of Fame. Rachel, I am so excited for you and your family for this amazing honor. You're so very deserving. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to coach you. I remember when I visited high school and met you for the first time, and I was hoping I could get my first Norse athlete to choose Doane. Recruiting setters is like recruiting quarterbacks. If you pick the right one, you're going to go to the next level for your team. Well, I sure picked the right one with you. When I went to training sessions each day, I knew I could count on you to lead your teammates to focus and work to improve. You were all about your teammates and making them the best possible. The link between the passer and the attacker is the setter. Your consistent, encouraging leadership was so important to our success. You always put your teammates before yourself. You're so humble about all your honors and always gave credit to all your teammates. Honors such as All-Conference, All-Regional, All-American, and I could keep going on. You possessed all the qualities I look for in a setter: being coachable, competitive, great leader, teammate, consistent, and passion. Your offensive choices of who to set to in all situations was amazing. You stayed so composed and made quick decisions even in the heat of battle. You made it much easier for Tammy and I as far as calling the offense. You always bettered the ball for your hitters. I remember being all teary-eyed when you and your teammates qualified for nationals. We had competed so hard at regionals and made it happen as a team. I'm so glad that you're a teacher. We need high-class individuals like yourself leading our youth. I want to thank Rachel's parents, Renee and Mark, for all their support for our program. If there was a Hall of Fame for parents, you would receive it. You did so many things for our team, and they were all greatly appreciated. I really, truly value our friendship we have developed. Thanks for raising such a caring and kind daughter. Also, thanks to Rachel's grandparents for being superstar fans and always cheering us on. Rachel, you have such a strong support system. Once again, Rachel, I am so thrilled you're receiving this honor. You are so very deserving. You go. Okay. I love you. Okay, there we go. You hold it. Okay. Yes, thank you. Yep, you're more than welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Meyer. I told her today when we ran into each other downstairs, just don't make me cry. And of course, that was the first thing that she did today. But thank you, Coach Meyer. Cody, thanks for organizing tonight. It's amazing to see how many people are out here. This is such an incredible honor. I'm so humbled and so thankful to be a part of this Doane University Hall of Fame class. I just want to congratulate all of the other inductees tonight on this amazing honor. Everyone is so deserving. This honor is definitely not an individual award, and it wouldn't be possible without several influential and amazing people. Sorry, I'm trying really hard to keep it together. I feel so blessed and fortunate to have surrounded myself with so many positive individuals over the years, and I would love to just take a few minutes to thank these special people. I want to start with my parents. Growing up, I was an only child, so we've always been super close. We have a small, tight-knit family, and I've always valued your guidance and your opinions, and most of all, your constant love and support. Their high expectations from a super early age helped me learn that big dreams were possible. Mom, you were the first person who got me interested in volleyball. We spent so many weekends and nights at the Coliseum watching the Husker games. And seeing such talented girls compete was so exciting and inspiring, and I knew I wanted to be just like them. We often played pepper in our driveway, and my parents had to constantly listen to me setting the volleyball against the house over and over and over again. And Mom, I'm forever thankful for that, and those are memories I'll always cherish. My dad was the person who taught me that through hard work and dedication, big dreams can happen. He passed along his passion for athletics to me at an early age, whether it was from starting off every morning before school, eating breakfast, watching SportsCenter, to him coaching me in all of the sports possible. We spent so many hours together in the car growing up. We drove to school from the time I was 6th grade all the way through my junior year, and these car rides were filled with so many coaching moments, tough conversations, lots of country music, and many laughs. I'm so very thankful for those memories that we were able to share. You both sacrificed so much to give me just the very best opportunities growing up, and I'm forever grateful for this and wouldn't be standing up here without both of you, so thank you. I've been truly blessed with some of the very best coaches. Toby Ann and Christina in high school were my high school volleyball coaches. They have always been so incredibly special to me, and they helped develop my love for the game of volleyball. Toby Ann, you've always been an amazing role model and someone I've always looked up to, and I'm so thankful you could be here tonight to celebrate. You both knew how to encourage, inspire, and to help push me to be my very best, all while building an incredibly successful program. Thank you just for always being there for me, cheering me on even when I went to college. I really appreciate it. So, Coach Myers, I'm so very thankful for you. You've always believed in me from the very first day that I met you. I feel so very fortunate to have had the opportunity to play for you. Anyone who has had the opportunity to play for Coach knows that she treats her team like family. She shared her passion for volleyball with everyone around her, and I learned so much about the game from you. Fundamentals, strategy, perseverance, how to have fun. She knew how to motivate and inspire and push each of us to reach our full potential, and you always had faith in me, and you were always one of my biggest cheerleaders, always. I'll forever be grateful to her for taking a chance on me. Coach, I have so much respect for the program that you built, and I'm so honored and thankful to be a part of your legacy. I was blessed to be surrounded by amazing teammates throughout my 4 years at Doane. Coming in and starting as a freshman can be pretty terrifying, but I was really fortunate to have teammates and upperclassmen who took me in under their wing. We all had high expectations for our level of performance on the court, but we also had amazing times off the court as well. I had so many amazing teammates who were also leaders my first few years, and I hope that I was able to lead the underclassmen with similar qualities and characteristics that each of them had as well. I've been so fortunate to be surrounded by amazing friends. Mark and Crystal, most of my Doane memories include the two of you. Whether it was cheering me on at games or the quad shenanigans, you both have shown me what true friendship is. I wish if we had more opportunities to get together, but so thankful that we can just pick up like no time has passed at all. And I can't believe it's been 19 years. That's crazy. Ash and Joel, sometimes it's crazy to think that we were all here at Doane together, yet we hardly even knew each other. God sure had a plan bringing us together in Blair. Sorry. You guys have become such dear friends, and we consider you family. So very, very thankful that we get to raise our families together, cheer on our kids together at sporting events. And Ashley, I found the very best teaching partner in you. You guys are a huge part of our village, and I'm so thankful that we could be a part of yours. To my husband, Craig, 19 years of knowing you and 13 years of marriage later, you continue to be by my side. You're the calm to my crazy, the adventurer when I love being home, and the one who always supports all my dreams. Thanks for being there for me at my highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I love you. To my boys, Liam and Beckham, I'm so glad that you get to be here tonight. You are a part of such a special memory tonight. Your love for all things sports makes my heart so full and happy, and watching you both on the fields and the courts Competing and doing what you love is one of my very favorite things. But more importantly, I'm so glad that tonight you have the opportunity to listen to so many amazing athletes and leaders. I hope that you listen to their speeches and hear that the importance of surrounding yourself with people who make positive choices, to surround yourself with others who are humble in success, but also resilient in difficult times. Surround yourself with people who treat others with respect, kindness, and empathy. Liam and Beckham, I'm so proud to be your mom. Boys, I love you so very much, and I just want you to always remember to dream big. Lastly, I just want to thank Doane University for this once-in-a-lifetime honor. My 4 years here at Doane held some of my most cherished memories, and I'll forever be grateful. So thank you.
Dave Dunnigan, start making your way. I know it takes you a little time. It's my honor to bring Dave Dunnigan up here. I've known Dave since 1985 when I met him through Johnny Green. Dave was inducted into the Doane Hall of Fame in 2015, and he had a tremendous impact on a lot of athletes, and particularly Jared Skurmans, this young man we're going to honor tonight. Dunny?
I got a lot to say for you. I got a lot to say. It's nice looking out here and seeing this audience. I may spend some time up here. Seeing as we don't have Cody as the MC, I'd like to thank some people. Without these people, I wouldn't be standing up here right now. I'd like to thank all the athletes in the room, especially the ones that I've been lucky enough to coach. Without them, I wouldn't be up here. This gathering shows a remarkable diversity in honorees. We have a junior dairy farmer turned rocket scientist from Adams, volleyball player from Norris, half-miler from Holdridge, half-ass football player from Omaha Northwest, a broken-down sprinter from Columbus, and an admissions counselor turned advancement dude turned assistant athletic director from Silver Creek. Oh, that might have been Silver Lake, I'm not sure. I get those confused. Oh, and we got Jared. I almost forgot. It's an honor for me to give a little background on Jared. I've known his family for over 40 years. Jared came from a family of coaches. His father coached track at Norfolk for many years, and he used to put on one of the best clinics in the state. Probably was the best. Early in my career, I was lucky enough to speak at that clinic. I got to know his father and his high school coach, Steve Porter. Steve was very good at what he did, and he also coached former Doane great John Bauman. As a senior in high school, Jared was the best discus thrower in the state. He was also a pretty good high jumper and a pretty good shot putter. He was heavily recruited by Division I schools from across the country. We'd been in the recruiting battle for a couple of years. Ed thought that Jared would make a pretty good multi-eventer. But Ed thinks everybody's going to be a pretty good multi-eventer, so, you know, it doesn't much matter. He chose to come to Doane, and after a brief foray into the multi-events, he decided to give them up and concentrate on throwing, which was probably a pretty good choice. It's kind of hard seeing a 270-pound guy high jump. Jared could have gone to bigger schools, and he could have been a discus specialist. He would have been very successful. At Doane, we had him throw the shot, the weight, sometimes the hammer, as well as the discus. So we kind of abused him. probably overused him, but the points that he provided were invaluable for the team's success. And you can read the biography and see what happened after he got here. He also let the Division I specialists know that if you were very good, it didn't matter what your singlet looked like. Did that by winning the Drake relays. We throw against the Division I's there. As I look around the room, I can see why Cody was squinting. I see a lot of Jared's teammates. I don't know how a guy that spent most of his time in the library could make that many social connections. Jared and I had the typical coach-athlete relationship. He always treated me with the utmost respect. He took it upon himself to make motivational t-shirts for national meets. They were always a hit with his teammates and other coaches that meet. I'm lucky enough to have a couple examples. See this one. There you go. It's amazing what you can get at Walmart. Oh, that's not the good part. Yeah, you see how much respect I got at the national meet. All the other coaches are walking around laughing at me. Oh, I got more. How about that one? After graduation, Jared went on to pursue his dream of becoming a professional discus thrower. I was lucky enough to be part of that journey. If I can find where I'm at now. Oh, it's down here underneath my thing. We traveled the country together, went to meets big and small, enjoyed remarkable success. I remember one long trip. We started the trip by driving up to Aberdeen, South Dakota, and returning through LA. Gary, where is that? Lake Andes. It wasn't the LA where we had our national outdoor meet either. Lower Alabama. Through the years, our relationship has matured and transitioned from one of coach-athlete to one of friendship. I'm proud and humbled to introduce my friend, Jared Skirmans. Yeah. You want to put one of those shirts on while you're up there?
Actually, I was looking for one of those.
I can see that. Sweet. You done? Yeah. See you.
All right, gotta find the right height. This is probably the last speech I'm ever going to give. So I was actually pretty excited when Cody only told me we only had 5 minutes. I figured I could probably get long-winded if I didn't have a time limit. I kind of told myself I was going to try and do my best to not get emotional, but I kind of feel like I'm going to fail miserably at this, so we're trying to work through it. Before I kind of get into, I don't know, the real inspirational stuff, I want to thank a couple people specifically. The first person I want to thank is a dear friend of mine. He was my roommate. my training partner, and at times a pretty good wingman. You were the shining example of work ethic and character. For 4 years, I did my absolute best just to keep up with you. I think so many athletes that are successful have an amazing support system, and I feel fortunate to have had you, Jake Eckert. I'd also like to thank my family. I think like a lot of people, I'm pretty blessed. My dad was a 45-year veteran of track and field, both as an athlete as a coach. I had 3 older siblings that were throwers that kind of led the way, and then my mom was kind of the glue that kind of held all the nonsense together, I think. I think in some ways, track and field chose me more than I chose it. Along with that, you know, just being thankful to have a family that's so understanding of the sacrifices that come with being an athlete. I missed Christmases and weddings, baptisms, family reunions, all in the pursuit of this dream. And I'm grateful for that. Steve Porter, my high school coach, Mrs. Allison Nelson, she's actually my kindergarten teacher. She was always my biggest fan and one of my biggest advocates through life. I actually think she's watching tonight, which is pretty cool. The Doan staff, especially Ed Fye and the late Fred Biley. Actually, random story about Fred. I was thinking about this as we were coming here. I one time saw Fred actually leaning against the no smoking sign, smoking a pipe. He is genuinely one of a kind. Getting this award, I think, was a true blessing to me. Since retiring from track just recently, a couple years ago, I think I never really had the time to reflect back on like what track meant to me. Not only my time at Doan, but really my career as a whole. The more I thought about it, I think I realized I thought less about things like stadiums, fans, crowds. I honestly probably couldn't tell you what it felt like to stand on a podium. The more I dug into it, the more I remembered the little details rather than the big picture. I remembered things like road trips to meets, the feeling of the stones on the Great Wall, seeing strangers in ramen shops in Japan, the walk from the parking lot to the track for meets, beach party. The little details that made the experience mine. But as I kind of thought about it, I realized it really brought me back to kind of why I ended up at Doan in the first place. My head high school track coach, Mr. Moeller, was a guy that was extremely close to our family, someone we really grew up with. And he pulled me aside at one of the track meets that we were at because he saw me talking to Dunnigan. He asked me if I'd been planning to go to Doan, if I'd really thought about where I was going. At that point in time, I pretty much had made up my mind that I was going to go to Austin and be a Longhorn to compete for the University of Texas. But he told me something that really made me pause, reflect, and really ultimately was kind of a part of the big decision why I attended Doan. He told me that if you can measure the character of a man, Dunnigan would be unmatched. His quality is beyond measurement. He said, if I was his son, he would hope I would throw for someone like him. I feel fortunate to have competed for Dunnigan, not just Doan, but Dunnigan specifically. He was somebody who always treated me with respect. He spoke to me as an equal. He was the first to give you a hug, whether you liked it or not. He was just going to squeeze the life out of you. We scoured the country together on and off for 15 years, well beyond my time at Doan. We spent most of our time talking about things like life, taught me how to fix old tractors. He even taught me how to pick good gin. Most of the time, we hardly actually talked about throwing the discus. I remember talking to him the day after his dad passed away. I remember him being the first person that I saw after I won my U.S. title. So many of our moments in life we've shared together, especially the big ones. He once told me no one on their deathbed ever said they wished they spent more time at the office. It was something that really changed the way that I look at life, and still one of the ways I live my life today. I think so many times in life you never get the opportunity to tell people what they mean to you. So I just want to say thank you for taking care of me for all these years. Thank you, Doan, for giving me a home to come back to. Thank you, Ed, for paying for our bar tab. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you, everyone, for this honor. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
we've had, well, honor some folks, but this young man was a USA champion, beat everybody in the USA in the discus. What a tremendous athlete. Tracy Fairbanks played basketball at Doane and later coached our women's team. And I think it was 2005 or 6, she recruited a young lady from Holdridge, Nebraska. And that player is Lindsay Anderson Sullivan. And I think it'd be perfect for Tracy to come and introduce her former athlete.
Wow, such awesome comments and expressions so far, and I'm sure the rest to follow will be just as awesome. Before I give my comments about Lindsay, I do have 2 things. Congratulations to all the Hall of Famers being inducted tonight. And then also, if I stop and have to give a stern look in this general direction, it's because former teammates of Lindsay told me they're going to heckle me during this. So, no. Truly, it's just so many of her teammates showed up, and it is just a testament to you, Lindsay, for the relationships that you cultivated and how you impact everyone and why they showed up for you tonight. It is an absolute honor and pleasure for me to speak about Lindsay Anderson Sullivan, one of the best to don a Doane women's basketball uniform. It is difficult for me to share a snapshot about Lindsay with you in a short period of time, right, players? Because she was such a distinctive, hardworking, lead by example, incredible student athlete in our program. The first time I watched Lindsay play basketball for the Holdridge Dusters was at UNK in a game against Lexington. It didn't take much of the game for me to realize that I definitely wanted her to be my top recruit. She was extremely fast, elevated on a dime, moved laterally with such ease, had a beauty of a shot, and made playing the overall game look effortless. The Hastings coach was there too. So I knew recruiting her could be challenging because Hastings was closer to home. Lindsay and her parents, Gail and Alan, came on a visit to Doane shortly after that game, and I feel like I remember it vividly. I did most of the talking, which is nothing out of the ordinary in a recruit visit or for me. I gave my genuine best, come to Doane, be a part of our program. You're going to be a difference maker speech. And throughout the 30+ minutes in my office, I'm not sure any of them said a word. Not because I didn't allow Lindsay and her parents the opportunities, but because they sat there stoic and quiet. Lindsay did display that sweet, sincere smile of hers. I also recall that after they left my office that day, thinking and expressing to others in the office, like our basketball assistant at the time, Rick Schmecker, she's not coming to Doane. Their body language and just not saying much, they didn't care for it. So I felt a little defeated. Thank the dear Lord I was wrong. Not only did she come to Doane, but I believe she's the reason other talented Holdridge alums chose to attend Doane for years to come. There are so many stories that I could share to illustrate the impact that Lindsay made beginning in her freshman year, like when we were at nationally ranked Northwestern and that shy, quiet freshman scored 25 points and had to knock down 2 free throws late in the game to send us to overtime and get a huge road win. But the one that I'm choosing to share with you in more detail is a memorable game late in Lindsay's career at home against nationally ranked conference opponent Briarcliff. We were down 3 points with about 5 seconds on the clock, and we had to take the ball the length of the court. Following a timeout, we had Lindsay take the ball out. She had to make a great pass to a well-defended teammate who flashed to the ball on the sideline. Lindsay then sprinted up the middle of the court, received a touch pass back from her teammate, and then did her Lindsay thing. dribbled faster with the ball than most could dribble without the ball in their hands, toward the right wing on our end of the court. And with time running out, she attempted a three-point shot and was fouled. With hundredths of a second left, Lindsay goes to the free throw line, down 3, to shoot 3 free throws. Of course, you can predict the outcome. Just as stoic as she was in my office on that recruit visit day, she knocked down all 3 to send the game into overtime. And we win again. What a game. Lindsay went on to get her 2,000th point at the University of Sioux Falls, another nationally ranked conference opponent at the time. She is the one and only Doane women's basketball player to score over 2,000 points. Lindsay Anderson was an outstanding student athlete, no doubt, but I would be remiss not to mention the student part. She majored in accounting, and during her tenure at Doane, accounting, in my opinion, was one of the hardest majors on campus. The professor was tough. She had expectations and demands of her students and challenged them at a premium level. The exams for the classes were so long that the students had to start at 7 a.m. or take them in the late afternoon, early evenings. Lindsay breezed through the accounting major with flying colors and was offered a job well before she graduated. Circling back to that day in my office on Lindsay's recruit visit, stoic and quiet turned into amazing, genuine, fun, lifelong friends for my family and me. The relationship built with Lindsay, her parents, Gail and Alan, her 3 siblings, and their families is one I'll cherish for always. Lindsay was a stellar student athlete at Doane, who earned numerous accolades that are extremely significant and the reason we're here tonight. Furthermore, I'm extremely proud of Lindsay and all she has accomplished and continues to, like working mom of 4 kids. I feel most blessed to have been a small part of her life. Receiving occasional Snapchat pictures of her kids just because are priceless to me. And the lasting friendship I have with her family and her is immeasurable. I imagine that knowing Lindsay, she would much rather have to step up to the free throw line right now with no time on the clock to tie or win a game than to come up here and speak. Not because she isn't grateful, but because she is a bit shy and incredibly humble. So now, with a heart full of immense joy, pride, and love, I am delighted to welcome Doane women's basketball's all-time leading scorer and even better person, Lindsay Anderson, to the podium.
Tracy's definitely got that right. This is not my comfort zone, but here we go. Never would I have ever imagined making the decision to attend Doane College would land me on this stage tonight. Since I got the call from Cody a couple months ago, it's really had me self-reflecting on all the things that Doane has brought into my life. First of all, my education and career. On the court and in the classroom, Doane truly pushed me to be my best. The education in athletics has helped me become a leader in my career today, and I continue to strive to grow every day. It brought so many great coaches into my life: Chad, the Rickster, Nicole, and last but not least, Tracy. I always believe in surrounding yourself with the best, and that is definitely the type of person Tracy is. I'm so thankful our paths crossed when she was out recruiting another player and happened to see a duster she was interested in. My 4 years playing at Doane have been some of the best in my life, and I'm so appreciative of the opportunities you gave me. You brought the best out of me on and off the court and helped and grow and instill my love for basketball today. You truly are a Wonder Woman, and I think all of us players got to see that every day. Being a mom now, I realize just the sacrifices you gave us. I mean, how many college coaches have a baby in the middle of December? I also have Ed to thank. I'm not sure he would even remember this, but while I was still making my decision to what school I was going to come to, he gave me a call to not recruit me onto the track team, but to the basketball team. And it really just showed me how special the Doane community was going to be, and was the final push I needed to accept my offer. Probably the thing that sticks out the most is how Doane brought so many lifelong friends, right up here, back here, into my life. Nothing I did on the court would have been possible without each and every one of you guys. I have so many memories on the court and a lot off the court. Our team was definitely a family. I think we had our own little sorority. We called ourselves BXI. Some memories that stick out are our 17-hour bus trip to Montana that we packed with our family. And we got to spend Thanksgiving together at Perkins off the interstate. Amazing trips to Hawaii and the Virgin Islands, where we were definitely on our best behavior. Wink, wink. I think we've all talked about this tonight. Our preseason running hills in a downpour and that dreaded mile. Pull-ups upon pull-ups. And our home-cooked meals that all our awesome parents hauled to Crete on every single one of our home games. No matter where our lives have taken us, whenever I see or talk to any of my teammates, it's like I've never skipped a beat. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. I'll end by thanking my family, my mom and dad, my sisters. They made so many trips to Doane to watch me. My husband, Dylan, and to the Doane University for awarding me this honor. I can't say thank you enough. Congratulations to all the inductees. You are all amazing. Thank you.
The next presenter I know pretty well, my brother Ed. Not going to say I like him, but I love him. It's kind of interesting that the next inductee spent a year at Dana College, and unfortunately the college closed after his freshman year. And somehow, I can tell you, I watched him at Dana. He's an incredible talent. And somehow Ed convinced him to come run for Doane, and the rest is history. Ed, please introduce BJ.
Thanks, Marty. I don't know if you know this or not, but Marty held the 400 record for quite a few years at Doane, and his nickname at Doane was Slim. Now it's Big Slim. So I'm proud of him. I want to congratulate Rachel and Lindsay and Brandon. I don't know if you know how much track and field did for you guys, and the focus and the things that you had to have when we threw shot puts and shotguns went off, and during track practice around your basketball practices every single day. But when they come to heckling you, it wasn't much of a problem when you were used to getting shot at. Jared, the relationship Donnie and Jared had went beyond of a normal relationship. Coach Dunnigan built amazing relationships. He became known all over the nation. Mac Wilkins was a world gold medalist in the discus, and he actually coached in the NAI for a few years. And Jared had just graduated, and he had moved up to the Olympic Development Center and was developing the best throwers in the nation. And I read the letter that he had sent Coach Dunnigan. He said that, I've been fortunate enough to coach all the best kids in the nation, and you get kids from Norfolk and Ainsworth, and you beat my butt. So it's pretty amazing what you do with those kids. And because of that relationship, that's where Jared got his opportunity to, and again, and Roger talked about this, and the relationships that you have with Doan, you'll have, and it keeps giving you opportunities all the time. And when they were running all over the United States, they were running all over the United States, and we were paying for it, and we were trying to get him to the Olympic trials because we thought that would be an amazing opportunity for Jared. And they went to California, they went to Alabama, they went everywhere. We get back, and let's put a last chance meet on in Crete, qualifies for nationals. So we didn't have to go very far away. So congratulations, Jared. Cody Vance, he was a freshman when I was a freshman. We immediately hit it off. He was wearing cowboy boots and a hat, so we hit it off pretty quick. So congratulations to you and all the 40 years we spent together at Doan. Now I'm going to introduce you to BJ Lawrence. I thought this year I would change it up a little bit, and I got some letters from his coach about him, and then I'll put a few remarks together as well, and I'll try to read it. That way I don't get off task. That's easy for me to do. This is from Jenny and Paul Vince O'Born, were the coaches of the sprinters. When I found out that BJ would be transferring to Doan College to run track, I was extremely nervous to be working with such a gifted athlete. I mean, I was just some no-name rural router that enjoyed coaching sprints and short relays. What I soon realized was that BJ wasn't as scary as I made him out to be, and was a very wonderful person. BJ was a pleasure to work with. He always came to practice with a great attitude, work ethic, and always encouraged his teammates to push their limits and raise their level of performance. He was an inspiration to his fellow teammates because he gave them the confidence to perform at a higher level. He was humble and led by example. His teammates knew that if you were able to stay close to BJ, you were going to be running fast. The first year, BJ anchored the 4x1 relay for Doan and the outdoor national meet, in which the team broke the 40-second barrier and ran a school record setting in 39:92. Even as gifted as he was on the track, he was still 20-something college student. He required some extra attention in the way of time management and getting from point A to point B in a timely manner. Some of his teammates may have been given the extra duty of keeping him on task and making sure he had all of his gear. Thank you, Chris Busby. One thing I hope BJ did take away from the time at Doan is the importance of proper warm-up. Before doing anything at a high rate of speed, even if it's an interview from Ken Hamilton at the local news station. He was doing a local news station, and they decided that they wanted him to run, and he kind of hurt himself a little bit, strained a little heavy or something, I can't remember, because he was trying to look good for the TV station. So, Doan Track and Field and BJ found each other, and it became a perfect fit. BJ was humble, and when you saw him, you would have never thought that there was no way that this big, strong man could ever run under 10 flat in the 100 meters. But he proved everyone wrong, making it to 2 Olympic championships. It was very rewarding as his coach to watch his journey unfold at Doan. The impact that he made would be unforgettable. BJ came in as a national champ, and at that time, we had recruited Ben McCaleb, a 10'9" kid that blew his hamstring his senior year, Thomas Hodges, who needed a lot of mentoring to find the track most days, and a slightly overweight sprinter, Chris Busby from Texas, and an 11'2" sprinter from Norris, Adam Baxa. Jenny and Paul Vance had their hands full trying to develop this crew. BJ was a leader and a great teammate that pushed and motivated his teammates. They all knew that if they stayed with him, they would be running fast. This group started to make an impact and in the conference, and the confidence grew as the season went on. I believe the slowest PR of the group by the end of the year was 10.70. Even though my freshman just son ran 10.7, that's still fast, Chris. They went on to run, Caleb that year, when BJ ran 10.1, Caleb ran 10.40, Chris ran 10.50, I think Hodges was right around 10.50 or 10.60, and the Norris Flash ran about 10.70. So their confidence grew, and through that growth, they went and almost broke the national record in the 4x1, and to beat a couple of those sprint teams that thought they were really good was a great day for Doane Track and Field. But before BJ found his fit at Doane, he was a program wrecker. He shut down UNO football program. He transferred to Dana, shut down Dana. Then to Doane, where we nurtured him into the man he was today. But I do believe he used that skill one more time to wreck a situation. It was in the World Championships when he won a bronze medal in the fourth leg, anchoring against Usain Bolt. He decided to wreck 3 teams in that relay team, including one of the U.S. teams that dropped the baton and ran into each other to get a bronze medal in the World Championship. So he had a great gift for wrecking things. BJ has been very grateful. We've kept a great relationship with one another. He is now works for marketing, managing, and Nathan Sports, Glucose Energy. He sponsors 10 teams in the United States, like Stanford, UCLA, Doane, only 10 people, over $20,000 worth of Glucose Energy. So we're very fortunate to have him with us, and I want to thank him for everything he's done and the impact that he has made for Doane College, and I'm glad to introduce you into the Doane Track and Field Hall of Fame.
My speech ready? Thank you, Coach Fye. That was amazing. Jenny, I got you on that one, okay? I was supposed to be a secret over there. But thank you guys, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you to my fellow inductees. You guys are all amazing athletes, and happy to be inducted with you all tonight. Thank you to Cody Vance and the entire organizing committee for putting tonight together. You guys did an amazing job. And again, I'm super excited to be here. First, I wanted to let everyone know my journey and how I got to Doane. I think it was a bit unorthodox of how I got here. First, coming to the United States, my parents gave up their lives to move to Omaha, Nebraska, for me and my sister to have a better dream up here in the United States. And I'd like to thank them and give them a shout out. They've been with me every step of the way, spoiling me since I was a little boy, and definitely being there for every athletic event that I had. Also want to shout out my wife, my beautiful wife, Andrea. She told me not to talk too long, so I'll try to stay on track here on my speech. I came up here in '98, just a young kid in some shorts and a t-shirts in October in Cole, Nebraska. So yeah, just imagine that coming from a beautiful island up here to Omaha when it was super, super cold. I want to thank my high school coach, Dave Plendel. He's over there. And he was a big, big influence in my life. I'm not sure if he knows, but I remember pretty much every speech he told me in high school. And one that stuck to me was when he always used to say, "Do things the right way." And I take that saying in everything I do in my life, doing things the right way, making sure, I'm taking care of the people that took care of me, and also just being a better person. We had some button heads a couple times with me staying in school and going to class and whatnot. But he was, I can't think of another motivated person that stayed with me and pushed me to make sure I'm going to college. And we've been together since now it's about to be 20 years in August since I've known him. And he's always kept in touch, always, checking up on me, seeing how I was doing in track and field, and made sure that, I stayed on course to graduate college too as well. So I just want to give a shout out to Coach Plendle and his wife, Melinda, for coming. Oh, thing went off. And concluding that, Coach Plendle was more of I would say, handled long distance. He ran long distance in high school. And he made it his purpose to make sure I was getting the best training. So he actually hired Charlie Green. I'm not sure if you guys know who that is. Charlie Green, the late, great Charlie Green, 1968 Olympic gold medalist. I don't know where he got the money. Omaha Public Schools don't really have that. I don't know where he found it, but definitely out of his pocket. And he brought him in for me to work on my starts, and that really helped. And up winning state here in Nebraska my senior year. So thank you for that too as well. And continuing on my journey, I accepted a football position at UNO to play football. I had dreams and aspirations to go to the league, of course, like any high school football player. I ended up going to UNO. I actually got injured, so that wasn't the reason why the school closed. So no, definitely not. Got injured. Actually took a year off of sports, and that was like the first time I ever took a year off in my life, and ended up going to Metro, and I didn't tell anyone other than Coach Plendle. I felt really embarrassed just, getting out of school, and, had a lot of people had a lot of high hopes for me coming out of high school and whatnot, and actually went back to Northwest and talked to Coach Plendle, and he was like, "Hey, you need to do something with track. You did really good in high school, and I think you still have a lot of potential." So my high school football coach was actually the football coach at Dana, and we got together and ended up going to Dana for the next year. So I actually went to Dana. I was 255 pounds, and in high school I was about 190. So I was a little bit overweight coming there. But I was super happy to be back in sports. Even though we didn't win a game, we went 0-11 at Dana. But I was very happy to be back competing. And my first track meet that I ran in college was actually here at Doane College. Ended up meeting Ben McCaleb, who was one of my good friends and former teammates. And it was something special about this place. When I first came to the field house, ended up winning the race against Virgil, my other teammate, very competitive guy and former school record holder. And that summer, I was back home on the beach, just relaxing, and I get a call from my coach saying the school is shutting down. And that same day, we were supposed to sign a 125-year contract to renew, but ended up didn't going through. So I was stuck there without a school, again, other than leaving UNO. A couple weeks later, I get a call from Coach Phi saying, "Hey, we know your school's closed down. We're super interested in you." And at that time, I won nationals at Dana. I was getting calls from Houston, University of Houston, University of Southern California, and a couple other Division I schools. But Coach Phi, I think went on a personal level and said, "Hey, those schools, they might not remember your name post-collegiate. You might just get there and get stuck. Here, we're going to invest in you." And he did a lot of investing. Coach Phi, he went above and beyond any coach I would think ever, any other athlete to bring me here and to also get me to the next level. And speaking of an investment, I think that's why I got to this opportunity to be here. Had a lot of great support around me. And now I come to Dome, freshman year. I came here, I was a little still out of shape from Dana, and we went to, I never seen that type of training before with my athletes, my teammates, and the coaching. It was a different level. I can't really explain it, but they had 14 coaches. I never seen 14 coaches on a track or football team or college team ever, and they were super invested in you. And my first year here, I ended up winning, I'm not sure, 5 national titles. And Coach still wanted me to push even more. He still believed in me, invested in me, even though I wasn't still running for Dome. I was running for my country that year, but he was still checking on me, still giving me workouts, and still believing in me. So, Coach, I appreciate you so much for always staying in contact with me, supporting me, everything I did. And even post-collegiately, when I was done competing with you, still gave me a scholarship. Hope the college education team is not here. But yeah, sorry, I don't want to bust you out. But I still had one more year to finish my degree, and he still honored my scholarship, saving me a lot of money. And I thank you every single day for you, and I really appreciate you. And also my other coaches, Coach Jennifer Jenny and Paul Vince, they were my spring coach, and the late, great Fred Biley. I also have a really funny story about Biley, and thank you for being here, Esther Biley, too, as well. I was training, and I was like, Coach Biley, my shin's hurt. And, me being, a big athlete, I thought, he's like, hey, this is the plan. This is what we need to do. We need to get you back. Coach Biley said, go home. I said, what? And he was just like that. He was very, kind of hard on you. If you're not working hard, or if you're complaining, you don't want to be here. And he really instilled hard work with me, every training that I had. And bless his heart, rest in peace to Fred Biley too as well. And also my coaches, my teammates, Chris Busby, Ben McCaleb, Adam Boxer, we all pushed each other in practice. And me being part of my country's team, I always used to show them what we ranked in the country, and we always ranked ourselves from that. We didn't rank ourselves, in the NAIA rankings or the state rankings. We always wanted to be the best, and I'm glad that they were there with me each day. And we still keep in contact all the time, and I love you guys. Closing up, so I don't want to talk too long. I just want to say it's an honor to be here. I'm very thankful that I completed my degree here at Doane and my athletic career here at Doane. I hope to be a part of Doane for the rest of the history and the rest of my life. I love supporting Doane track and field too as well with the companies that I'm with. And thank you to everyone for being here. And have a great night. Yeah.
All right, I'm back. The next is Coach Dave Ziola. And what I did here was I thought it'd be interesting. When you get done coaching, I think you can tell what kind of job you've done by listening to your athletes. Therefore, I went out and found some people that had some things to say about you, Coach Z. Nick Thixton was an athlete for him and then coached for Dave. Dave Ziola, otherwise known as Coach Z, or to me, Grandpa, couldn't be more deserving of the honor. Even though all the national and conference champions probably come second to some horse somewhere out there, Z also knew how to get the best out of any jumper. Every meet we had before the meet, he would tell us that we were the kings or queens of the runway and that we should jump and act like we own it. I don't know if there is a more technical jump coach out there. He made us become students of jumping, and many of us went on to become teachers of it. It didn't matter if you came in at 50 feet or 40 feet triple jumper. You still always started with the basics, and trust me, Grandpa could find something wrong that you could improve or change. I was lucky enough to become an assistant coach under Coach Z, and even though I thought I knew it all, he was still teaching me lessons daily. Getting to coach with him led to many road trips, camps, and stories that probably shouldn't be told. Grandpa, you've changed so many lives, and for that we thank you. And just how you ended all of your speeches to us, stay out of jail. Nick's still working on that one. Mario is a school record holder, coaches. Usually when you're asked to write about someone something, the problem is not having enough to say. In this case, there's so much to say. It's hard to keep it brief. The one thing people don't understand about Doane Track and Field and what it leads to our success is family. Phi was our crazy dad, uncle, and Z and Dunny were our grandpas. The first time I met Z, we clicked right away, and we probably said 15 words to each other. I was trying to be Michael Jordan and take 2 years off of track, and Phi made me come back and compete on attach, where I met both Phi and Z. That's all it needed to realize that Z and I were very similar. I am a little more tan, but we both treat people as humans. We'll help anyone we can and actually get to know who people are. Oh, and we both share in the disgust of that indoor record. I watch Z do that with everyone. That's the big thing for me. Actually talk to me and get to know me and who I am, where I come from, and the things I've dealt with. Most don't get that far with me, and thank Phi for being like that with me as well. So congratulations to all inductees. Huge congrats to Cody, BJ, Grandpa Z. I know I speak from all the jumpers when I say we love you. Thanks for everything. Jumping wouldn't have been the same without you, and you owe us at least one more jumpers dinner. Abby Sleater, Coach Z's coached 5 girls that went over 40 feet. As a former athlete, you spent 4 years being coached by Zola. I'm thrilled that Coach Z is being inducted into the Doane Athletic Hall of Fame. Coach, it is well deserved. Even though a banquet and the attention is not your style, it is important to recognize and contribute to Doane and all your former athletes. You have countless conference champions, All-Americans, national champions to your credit, which is a testament to your knowledge, skill, dedication to the sport. But it is your attitude and character that make you such an amazing individual. Your patience as a coach as you work to break down my technique and then build me back up to become the best possible jumper. I cannot thank you enough. All the time spent filming your jumpers and during practice and meets, then looking at films to fix all the small errors and seeing the results pay off in new PRs. You celebrated the successes we had on and off our runway. Z, not only did you make us better jumpers that we could be, but you also helped us grow and flourish as individuals. You taught us as dedicated teamwork and strive to each goal. Even in retirement, you continue to develop athletes as your former jumpers, track coaches, and use the drills and techniques and Z-isms that you taught us. As I reflect back on that time at Doane, track and field meets and friendships that I made are some of the fondest memories. None of these memories, nor the success that I would have had, been possible without you. Coach Z, thank you for being a part in my life. Coach Z and I, we met at a week-long track and field camps Fred put on in the summer, and it seemed like they took a month. But Coach Z and I hit it off right away. We stayed up all night talking about technique and different things, and I think all we did was talk. We didn't probably drink or anything, I don't think, but the more I drank, the more I knew. But we became good friends. Then he was coaching at Arlington at that time in the high school, and he started coaching at Midland, and we continued to talk and share information and becoming very close friends. This is when I realized how special he was as a father, husband, and coach. Z does not like to lose at anything. Z does not, as our relationship grew, we began to hunt, fish, and go to horse races together. I knew that in everything he was mentoring me, whether it was hunting, fishing, racing, or talking technique, he always had the ace up his sleeve to beat me. Fred retired, and before we ever knew it, and Fred told me at the McDonald's going to the national meet that I was the one that he wanted to take over the program. Him and President Brown had gotten together and made a plan. One of the plans was to get Coach Dunnigan back from Peru. The other one was to get Brad Jenny back, and we got him back a couple years before that. And Fred and I knew that I might be able to handle being the head coach, but I would need a lot of help. Fred had hired, the last piece was to get Coach Z to Doan. This was the person we were looking for to help mentor me, and with his knowledge and experience and the huge respect I had for him, was the perfect man for that job. 20 years later, he rewrote all the record books and given our athletes amazing memories and friendships. And because of this, I introduce you to a Hall of Fame coach, Dave Ziola.
I looked at the lineup and I thought, boy, I'm going last. Must be my name starts with a Z and I'm used to that. And then I thought, well, no, it's maybe age, and I was 2 for 2 there. But Cody, this is the first time that Z is going to come before V. Thank you, Ed, for that introduction. I want to thank those people that wrote in those nice things. I've also heard some of their stories of other things, and I'm glad they didn't put that in there. Thank the selection committee for this great honor, and I want to congratulate the other recipients. I knew quite a few of those in my years here, and they were special people. I was involved, track's been a big part of my life. I was a competitor for 12 years, coached for 44, junior high, high school, college, taught elementary PE. So when I was at Arlington coaching Midland, I went from working with 5-year-olds in the morning to 23-year-olds in the night, quite an experience. But I found out one thing, that you don't do anything by yourself. And there's always a lot of people that got to help you. And so I'm going to go through some of those tonight. Some you'll know, some you won't. I've got a good friend from high school here. When I talk about the Columbus people, he'll probably be the only one that'll know them. But I'm going to beg off, and I'm going to blame Dunnigan. And it was either Dunny or it was Hoodie that said, it's my time and you're stuck. It started, I think somebody else mentioned something about elementary school, and Mrs. Hagenbuck, our 6th grade teacher, she lined us up, the boys up, and we had a 60-yard dash race, and she picked me to run the 60-yard dash and the 440 relay at the Columbus Elementary School track meet, and that's kind of how it all got started. From there, went on to junior high, had Mr. Babst, Mr. Tom, you might remember them, Mr. McNair, and I got to tell you a story about Mr. McNair. Mr. McNair would have made Biley look like Mother Teresa. the rumor was he had a plate in his head that I think he got in the Korean War. And in those days, we took a bus from the junior high school over to the high school because there wasn't a track at the junior high. And the bus doors stayed shut until Mr. McNair came out. And he would, when the bus driver saw Coach coming up there, he'd open the door. He'd always sit in the first seat right behind the bus driver. And you had to walk by him, and he kind of inspected you. And this was, you know, in the days of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all those. And I walked by him one day, and he said, "Ziola?" I said, "Yeah, Coach. Do I need to buy you a bra?" And I said, "I'll go get a haircut, Coach." It was time. I'm not sure if he could get away with that. I know that's got to be an ism or a gin or something. But that was our freshman coach. Went from there to the high school, Coach Kellen, Coach Shanahan. Went to Platt Junior College, Coach Suggs, Coach Kirchman at Hastings. And then I graduated, got married, and I found out I had to get a job. Got married, and so I was looking for jobs, and I finally got hired at Norfolk Catholic. And at Norfolk Catholic, they asked me, "Do you want to be the track coach?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that's kind of what I planned on doing." And there was an individual there, Steve Shadle, he's there tonight, and he was the women's coach. He was also from Columbus, although I didn't know him. He was a little older. Plus, he went to that other school in Columbus across the way there at SCOTUS, which was at St. Bonaventure's that time. But we had one problem at Norfolk Catholic, and that we didn't have a track. There was a big lot, and somebody mentioned that, well, there were some plans somewhere that they had surveyed and they had put some stakes out. And so we thought, okay, we digging around, we found the plans, and we found the stakes, and I had some homemade jump ropes out of yellow nylon rope that I had made for PE classes. And we square knotted those together, got the tire iron out of the back of my 64 Chevelle, and struck the arcs on the curves and kite string for the straightaways. And we had a kid whose dad owned a tractor with a blade, and so we graded out a track, and that's where we started. I tell coaches, young coaches now, I said, "You don't appreciate all-weather tracks enough." I said, if it rained, you were off 3 or 4 days, and even if it was muddy, you didn't want to run on it because it was like running on a cow path or whatever afterwards. And by the way, I was hired by another Columbus SCOTUS guy that was the principal, so I shouldn't talk bad about him. I moved on then to Arlington, and there I met Bob Wise, who was my assistant for 24 years when I was there in cross-country and junior high and high school track. And two of the guys that were fantastic athletes for us are here tonight. And we started playing. They wanted to learn how to play golf when they were about 15. And so we took them out, and we had a tournament. And for, I don't know, 12 years, kicked their butt. I mean, then they got a little older, they got a lot more money in their pocket, and I think they beat us 13 after that, but that was always fun. Also, at Fremont, met John Applegate, who was the track coach at Fremont High, won numerous championships. Pat Murphy, who was one of the premier high school jump coaches in the nation. I mean, he had 7-footers when nobody had 7-footers. And I tried to emulate them, follow them around. They would call me up and they say, "Hey, we're going to go talk at a track coach in someplace in Iowa, Nebraska, whatever. Do you want to ride along?" And I said, "Yeah." yeah, man, I'll go along. But I said, I'm not registered. They said, carry our briefcases in, look like you know what you're doing. And I'd walk through and learn so many things from them. From there, I went to Midland. Coach McMahon was the head coach there. He was supposed to have an assistant one year, and Midland didn't hire an assistant. And so he got 4 or 5 of us to come over for a year, and they filled in, and then they were going to hire somebody. Well, lo and behold, at the end of the year, he said, you want to come back and coach the jumpers? And I did that for 10 years. And that's where I met the Fab Five, or Fab Four, Fred, Ed, Dunny, and Brad. You know, it just went from there. As Ed said, we did track camps, and there's a lot of things we can't tell you about those. Ed, as he said, Ed called, and he said, would you want to, this was second week in June, something like that. He said, would you want to come and coach with us? And I said, well, yeah, I might consider that. And then he told me what salary was going to be. I said, whoa, no, I can't do that. Making more money as an elementary PE teacher. So he said, well, wait, we'll go back to Dr. Brown and we'll talk to him. And so I think it was, Ed became my agent. And I think Fred was involved in it, and they'd come back and he'd say, well, we'll give you this. I said, no, I can't do that to my family. And it went on for a while, and then my wife and Ryan and I, we were going to Columbus for the 4th of July, and I hadn't heard from Ed for a while, and I looked at San, I said, I think it's over. I haven't heard from Ed. We'll just stay in Arlington and live in Fremont. Well, lo and behold, a couple days after we got back, he said, well, now, we said they'll give you this. You think you can do that? I'll talk with my wife, and yeah, we figured we could do that. And so, oh good Lord, the next thing, it was we had 1 month to get out of a contract, sell a home, find a new home, move everything. When I wanted to cry, I just went up to the attic and looked at what we had up there and thought, oh, I got to get rid of all this stuff. And then was 17 years of pure delight. It was fun to be with guys that had the same goals. Loved to talk about track and field. And everything, it wasn't a job. You know, it was, I told people, I said, I don't have a job. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think it's loafing, but it was great. And those 4 guys, they even taught me some things I didn't know about myself. First of all, Ed, because of Ed, I found out that I could foretell the future when I warned him about getting a black eye at the Palisade street dance. I found out from Brad that it is possible to stay up all night and watch the sun come up. From Dunny, culinary delights that I never knew existed. We were doing a camp in Bayard, and we were staying in Scotts Bluff, and across the way was Applebee's. And so we go into Applebee's, sit down. Dunny orders himself a steak dinner, and all of a sudden the kitchen doors fly open, and out comes this guy with this big red salad bowl, and there's just a steak sitting in it. He comes and throws that steak down in front of Dunnigan, heads out the door. Well, we found out that he had just got fired, but Dunny invented steak in a bowl. And from Fred, you know, you learn nothing's ever good enough. You can always get better, and there's always something that you can do to make somebody better. And then with Fred, too, it was, you know, you were never too old to learn something, and he was a good example of that. Then there were my 3 musketeers, Ken, who, when he got the Honor D Award, he said, well, he kept coming to practice, and I never told him to leave. And I'm not very smart, but I know when you've got a good thing, and I'm glad he stayed there for all 17 years. Nick and Mario, who jumped for us, and then it started off kind of, they were my legs at camps, because my son went with, I think the first, right after he graduated, my son went with us on the swing of the camps, and we were coming back from a camp one day, and he looked at me in the car, he said, "Dad," he said, "don't demonstrate anymore." I said, "Why not?" He said, "It doesn't look anything like you think it does." And so Mario, and then they ended up coaching us, and those three guys, wow, we'd have never got done the things that we got done without them. When I was at Midland, we used to think if we had 30 or 35 kids on our team, or athletes on our team, that was pretty good. The last couple of years I was here, I used to keep on a spreadsheet a chart of all their approach distances. And I think we had 30, between the multi-event jumpers that we worked with and our jumpers, we had 30 jumpers. And would have never been able to get the things done without those sets of eyes and that knowledge there. Like I said, they were just wonderful. I sound like Trump there, didn't I? And then all of the athletes who, none of this would be possible without them. I saw Hurricane Cosmos sitting out there somewhere earlier. All the national champions, and you didn't have to be a national champion, you just had to get better. We always, at the start of the year, we'd say we demand, not ask, demand 3 things. Number 1, you got to be at practice. Number 2, you got to have a good attitude. And number 3, you got to be coachable. And we had a lot of people that were like that. Finally, my family, Mom and Dad, who always provided everything that we needed. My brothers, Ron and Steve, who were my first competitors, whether it was boxing in the basement, basketball, football, you went from season to season. We'd have races around the house, one start one way, one go the other, and see who could get back to the starting line first. Of course, on the other side was the tripping, the tackling, the dodging, the clotheslines, and all those things that happened there. Ryan, who is now, he's a coach. He went through all the things. I think he was at his first cross-country meet when he was 2 months old. He's a coach now. He got in and all the things, he rode in the back of the pickup and handed out water to the cross-country teams. He got to turn pits with me and carry high jump and pole vault mats and all those things. And now he's coaching and learning about all those things about coaching. Ann, who is now a coach's wife, and is finding out about that, which is always kind of a surprise. I mean, all the things that you got to do and put up with and take over. Bennett, my grandson, who's showing me that, man, it's great to be a grandpa. Finally, to my wife, Sand, it's her birthday. I told her I'd take her out for supper tonight. And I can't tell you everything that she's done for me, because I'd have to have Brad, and we'd have to stay up till the sun came up again. And in closing, I have this theory that people die. You go up to heaven, you meet St. Peter at the gate, and he stands there and he says, "Okay, you did this well, you fell a little short here and all that." Well, I believe that there's 2 types of people that when they get up there, the gates just go open. Get on in here, you're right in. That's kindergarten teachers and coaches' wives. Thank you, and God bless you.
I was just thinking about the next inductee. Raise your hand if you've been impacted in some way by Cody Vance in the room. Raise your hand. That's awesome, Cody. You left you have a legacy here like none other. I was asked by Dan Koonsman, who worked here, many of you know Dan, to read some remarks because he couldn't be here this evening. He says, hearty congratulations on a well-earned recognition. Your constant presence and dedication to the men and women who have worked so hard to represent Doane in athletic arenas over the last 40 years is amazing. Over the past weeks, I've thought a lot about you and your time at Doane. I found myself wondering where you'd be if Bonnie his mother hadn't picked up the phone when we called you in September in 1982 to come back to Doane to be an admissions counselor. Thousands of Doane alumni are fortunate she answered that call and the kind of impact you had on their lives. Cody has touched the lives of 60 to 70% of all Doane athletes in its history. Isn't that amazing? You were handed a mic for a home football game in the mid-1980s. If I had known I'd never get it back, I don't know if I would have given it to you. Decades of a shipload of Vikings or a cornucopia of Equestrian delights followed. Then 40 years later, you haven't even asked me to sub one time. Cody was an instinctual recruiter. He learned early on he could make his job easier if he built in time to visit with the families of the recruits that he recruited the previous years. He had saved time to have coffee and ask them if they knew any students that he might recruit. It wasn't something that he was taught. It was something that was instinctive for Cody and something he did on his own. These tactics were great results for the university. Finally, Doane is a wonderful place is because of his high character, dedicated folks who carry on institutional history and the work so hard never to let the bar drop. You, Cody Lynn Vance, belong at the front of that group. Love you, little brother. Enjoy your evening. That's from Dan Kinsman. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Roger Hughes, who's going to present Cody with his Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Marty. And it's going to be my pleasure to introduce my classmate and friend, Cody Vance. But before I do, Brandon, I need a favor. Would you please pass along to Caitlin, it's okay that she went to Wesley and not everyone could get into Doane. Words will not be able to describe the impact that Cody's had at Doane University. Some organizations are blessed to have people who are willing to work behind the scenes to make their teams better. These special individuals work tirelessly, making sure that every detail is correct. The hot chocolate's hot, the sound system's tuned, the support staff's in place, et cetera, et cetera. They do this knowing that if they do their job very well, no one will notice them. But then again, they don't do it for the recognition. They do it because, to them, creating the best possible experience for our students, alumni, faculty, staff, and our fans is paramount. They do the extra little things because, to them, champions do the little things better than anyone else. And these little things, that little extra attention to detail, turns an average event into a lifetime experience. They do this because they know people may not remember what was said at the event they attend, but they will always remember how that event made them feel. Our final inductee tonight, Cody Vance, epitomizes the people I just described, and Doane is the organization that has been blessed to have Cody. Contrary to popular Doane lore, Cody was not present at the signing of Doane's charter. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of signing and presenting Cody with a certificate celebrating 45 years at Doane. You know, Cody, I finished my degree in 4 years. I don't know what's taking you so long. Cody's career spanned the total campus. He worked at admission for 19 years. He's especially proud of the fall class of 2000, where he recruited 25% of the class himself personally, and their ACT averaged 24. There are numerous recruiting stories where he rode with other coaches from Doane across Nebraska. He worked diligently to bring the Doane experience to all the students that he met. He has always been a relationship builder, and he put that skill to work for 8 years in his work in advancement, where he is seeing the fruits of his labor now as Doane's support starts to grow. These relationships served him well when during COVID, when everyone else said he couldn't do it, he was increasing the number of sponsorships for Doane Athletics. He worked 14 years in athletics. He oversees the concessions and has been the voice of Doane Athletics, where his focus has always been on providing the best fan experience possible. He has taken some time for fun, though. He traveled internationally with a football team and Hall of Fame coach Franz Wink, where they went to New Zealand 3 times, the Netherlands once, and Norway once as well. And when it comes to history, Cody has a remarkable institutional knowledge of Doane. When it comes to the people of Doane, you do not want to play 6 degrees of separation with Cody. He knows our students, their families, their high schools, the names of their dogs and cat, the hospital they were born, what they had for breakfast. You get the idea. Cody's been called Mr. Doane, but he brushes it off, saying there are more deserving peoples for that name. But for tonight, March 31st, 2023, you are Mr. Doane. On behalf of Doane Athletics, for your tireless service, and on behalf of the entire Doane community, thanks for your unwavering commitment to make all of our Doane experiences memorable. Please join me in congratulating the Hall of Fame voice of Doane Athletics, Cody Vance.
We'll get over here and get our picture taken. I think you got it. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, folks. Okay, just as well tear the tab off that box of Kleenexes, but we'll see what happens. Marty, thank you for reading some of Dan's letter. Roger, thank you for your kind words, and it is so nice to have you and Laura back home at Doane. Your support of Doane Athletics is remarkable, as is your and Laura's presence at our home athletic events and road events as well. When you first arrived at Doane, I told Jen, our women's soccer coach, and she'll remember this, that you were in the stadium watching their practice. She replied, "He's a practice? That's never happened before." I replied, "Yes, and he and Laura will be at your games as well," and they are. My goodness, what a gigundous crowd. I almost moved this event to the historic Gallagher-Iba Arena at Oklahoma State University, capacity 13,000. I know that Jared has been there. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm not sure that I fit into this class of inductees, though. Again, I'm not sure that I fit into this class. What a remarkable class. When I played athletics, I was short, but I was slow. And Coach Dunnigan added that I probably wasn't very strong either. Word of my induction into our Athletic Hall of Fame spread quickly. I picked up my repaired wristwatch in Lincoln, and the jeweler asked, "Aren't you the guy who's getting an award from Doane?" Another one, I was on a chat with the sale barn in Kearney, and the last response I received was, "Congratulations on your award." And then there was my flip phone. It was blowing up. It literally blew up. I want to begin my remarks by congratulating the other inductees, Brandon, Rachel, Jared, Lindsay, BJ, and Coach Z. It was my pleasure to watch you excel at Doane and to work with you on this event. I also want to thank several people who are responsible for my being in this position tonight. The 9th president of Doane, the late Phil Heckman. He was president when I was a student here from 78 to 82. That's 1978 to 82. And I also worked in admission for him before he retired in 1987. Phil loved to play pickleball, which is making a rebound and is very popular right now. We played pickleball on the driveway of the Bauer House where the president lives. The 10th president of Doane and my good friend Dr. Fred Brown, to my right. Fred has probably been my most ardent supporter over the years, and he usually makes his way over to share kind words with me at halftime of home basketball games where he sits on the front row. Fred spoke at this event for many years. I always appreciated his message, a new one each year. Thank you, Fred, and please stand, my good friend. Thank you. Fred presented me with the Bulldog Award for Leadership for the 2000-2021, no, that's not right, I typed that in wrong, 2000-2001 academic year in this very room. That day, Nancy Nelson, who's in the back, Nancy snuck my family through the kitchen so that I would be surprised by their presence. I was indeed. My mentor, the late Lowell Dodd, my academic advisor and director of the Doane Media Center. That man, better known as Scrooge, was an icon and had such a positive influence on my Doane experience. I remember him asking for a new set of car keys when he retired, inferring that Doane had a new car waiting for him. I won't ask for the same. The late Dr. Tom Coulter, history professor, an absolutely entertaining orator. On a Friday afternoon at the start of class, he would say, "Let's shoot for a half hour today." I can honestly say that I would not be here tonight without the support of my good friend Dan Koonsman. Dan's letter is priceless, and thank you again, Marty, for reading some of it. To summarize, Dan was the one who called me when there was an opening in admission in September of '82. I was offered the job by Steve Rasmussen the next day. Prior to that, Dan got me started in the press box for Doane football in the fall of '79. He announced the first quarter of our first home game, whereupon he said, "Now it's your turn, go for it." The rest is history. My close friends and my second family, the family of the late Jack and Liz Hudkins. Jack was our former Doane baseball coach, head coach from 1994 to 2007, and one of my best friends. We lost him last October, and I was honored to speak at his memorial service. I'm going to have the Hudkins family please stand. They are in the back. Thank you, my good friends. If they were here tonight, my great friends, Steve and Beth Grimes from Oklahoma, would be seated right with them. My colleagues in advancement, what more can I say? They make it fun to work here, never a dull moment. I appreciate their letting me warm up my coffee in the microwave 25 or 30 times each day. And special thanks to the athletic directors with whom I have served in reverse order, Mark Wateska, Jeff Johnson, Matt Franzen, Jill McCartney, and Greg Heyer. My kids, some of our students who are in the north part of the dining hall. Do I have some of my kids in the back? I have a few. Thank you guys for being here. My kids are from Nebraska, they're from other states, they are from Chile, they are from Colombia, they are from Mongolia, they are from Panama, they are from Peru, they're from all across the world, and they are awesome kids, and that's one of the reasons I stay here. A person recently asked me, "How many kids do you have?" My response was, about 1,000. Some of them are here tonight, like I said, from all over the globe. And let's give them a welcome once again. For if it weren't for these young people, we'd only have a beautiful but empty physical plant. They bring life to this 150-year-old institution. Last but not least, my family seated to my left, many of whom reside in my home county, Webster County, Nebraska. the home county of the famous author Willa Cather. Bladen, population 290, in the northern part of the county, is my hometown. Many people ask me where my hometown is, and so I want to help you with that because some people are confused. And I tell them that Bladen is about halfway between Ayr and Riverton, or somewhat between Holstein and Innervale. I hope that helps you. I have to share something of which I am very proud. I recruited 2 young women from Bladen to Doane. They later became Fulbright scholars here, Nancy Burns and Kim Pavelka. I remember when Kim received an award from Doane, my friend Dr. Rob Weichel, who is here tonight, referred to the term Greater Bladen. I had not heard that term before. Thank you, Rob. Back to my family. My dad, Larry, is celebrating his 85th birthday today. He is at home on the ranch, probably watching a rodeo on the Cowboy Channel with my nephews, Trey and Tanner, who are also checking cows during calving season. Dunny, I have a message for you. My nephews attend Silver Lake, not Silver Creek. That is an inside joke. Jim Johnson, who is present tonight, is from Silver Creek. The Vance boys go to Silver Lake. Study your lesson. My mom, Bonnie, who's seated over here, a huge fan of Doane Athletics, is here tonight along with my brother TJ, his wife Tara, along with 2 of my aunts, Diane and Colleen, my uncle Larry, and my cousins Paige and Jenny. One time, and maybe more, Mom found a high spot in one of our pastures so that she could listen to a Doane football game on the radio. No lie. Now that's dedication. In the past, Mom would bring homemade bread and cinnamon rolls to area bake sales. Here's the problem, though. She usually never made it into the venue. She would be intercepted before the product made it there. Mom would take the cash inside, but the food was gone. Mom is a great cook. If we have ill or bereaved neighbors, Mom is in their homes immediately with homemade food and kind words. I try to duplicate that hospitality. So if you see those trends in me, it's because of my parents, and my mom is here tonight. Mom, would you please stand? I better take a sip of this. This reminds me of Dr. Calder, because he would do that in class. He'd say things like, "This water tastes like the Blue River," or "Doane vodka," he would say. My family has had a great deal to do with who I am today, including my late grandparents and my younger brother, Monty, whom we lost in 2019. He graduated from Doane and played football here. He is the reason that I acquired gray hair at a young age. I can hear him laughing up a storm in heaven tonight. As I wind this up, I must express that working at Doane can be boiled down to 2 words: relationships and friendships. Yes, the wins and losses matter, but more important, it's about the people in my daily life here. When I was a student here, I met hundreds of people. Since I began working here, I have met thousands. Where else could you have students laugh at my one-liners, such as, "I'm more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs"? Or that my favorite baseball song is, "I Got You, Babe" by Sonny and Cher. Babe Ruth. Sayings that they've heard many times before, or they might make weird faces when I ask them if they want my autograph. Where else would the head football coach ask this question at the end of practice? "Cody, is there anything you want to share?" Speaking of Coach Bessler, who's here tonight, he and his coaching staff, along with Roger and Mark, put the team on their shoulders during a recent tragedy involving one of our players. Where else would a new student come into my office at the start of the school year who says, I don't know you, but my mom and dad said that I should get to know you? Where else does tennis practice come to a halt when I leave at the end of the day so that the players can wave goodbye to me or say something like, see you tomorrow, Cody, or will you announce our senior day? Where else could I almost get away with bogus instructions to my student concession stand workers, such as, be sincere whether you mean it or not? Or, if a customer is rude to you, be even more rude back to them. Show them that you can be rude too. Where else could a student get picked up at the airport after midnight if they were stranded or driven to a town such as Ogallala because of a family emergency? Coach Phi remembers that story. Or the case of one of our Brazilian soccer players who needed a ride to the Lincoln train station in the middle of the night on icy roads so that he could get to Chicago, so that he could then fly home before the airline shut down at the start of the pandemic. Tiago contacted me from Brazil and thanked me. Where else would parents ask me to share bad news with a student because I was their choice to take on that difficult task? Who else gets sung to by the Doane pep band at the end of home football games? And finally, who else begins to cry before a merry farewell and Precious Lord are performed by our band and choir respectively? These are just some of the things that I and others within our athletic department do to support our students. Yes, Doane Athletics is a special department, and Doane is a special place. Each day I tell others that I am blessed to work here, and I truly am. I love this little college on a hill. And oh, by the way, I'll be here at least 4 more years because I promised a young man whose parents went to Doane that I'll be here for his 4 years at Doane. This is a promise that I make every year, so I may be here for a while. Thank you for this special award. And oh, by the way, no autographs, please. Thank you for spending your evening on Nebraska's most beautiful university campus. You've heard that a few times at the end of our home athletic events. And before I turn this back to Marty to wrap up this induction ceremony, I want you to know that Doane is hosting a huge gathering in this very space beginning early tomorrow morning. Our staff needs to transform this area shortly. After some photos, we ask that you proceed out to the hallway, or you can go down to Nairep Hall as soon as possible. Thank you. Marty, I'm going to turn this back to you to close down this wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you.
As we conclude this special night, how about another round of applause for all the folks that were honored this evening? Just a reminder, after the ceremony, there'll be a reception down in Nairep Hall if you want to go down there. No outside beverages, right, Cody? That's correct. That's correct. One last thing I want to share with you. We're going to have another Hall of Fame induction during the homecoming event in the last month of September, or last week of September. We're going to honor the 1993 and 1997 football teams. They'll be inducted into Doane Hall of Fame at that time. So if you're around, come back for that great event. Thank you all for coming tonight, and please stay for the reception. Thank you. Have a good evening. God bless, and go Tigers.